Gartland from the Daily News.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor. How you doing?
Good morning, Michael. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I've got so many questions, but only room for two, I guess. I wanted to ask you, yesterday, we had a lot of shootings yesterday, and you've taken a lot of questions on this, which I'm sure we all appreciate in the press corps. But, we've seen, an increase in violent crime statistics sustained over a pretty long period of time now, relatively, about a year. Are we in a new normal, and do you worry that kind of the sustained increase in violent crime and more random attacks too, where, that they're kind of almost seem like senseless attacks without a real kind of motivation. Does this worry you about your legacy as well?
Well, Michael, you do have a lot of questions. I'm going to try and pull that together. Look, very important topic, obviously. I am convinced this situation is going to change. I am convinced that we will turn it around. When I look at what happened, I've said it, I'm going to say it again. We went through a perfect storm. Last year, schools were shut down, jobs were shut down, houses of worship were shut down, everything was shut down. People were pent up, people were frustrated. A whole lot of stuff happened that we've never seen. And we saw it all over the country, in every kind of city, regardless of whatever the specific approaches were in each city. So we know that there was a COVID-based problem. We are coming out of COVID. We're going to turn the tide. We're adding officers this month, another class of officers coming out. It was about 850 last month, about 600 coming out this month. That's going to help. The court systems, this is now week 2 of having the court system back after more than a year of its absence. Finally seeing the criminal justice system start to engage again, but it's going to take months for it to get to full strength in terms of the number of trials. Recovery is going to help move public safety. Public safety is going to help move recovery. Recovery is definitely helping. More and more people coming back to the life of the city. All of these things are going to add up, including a lot of investments in communities, a lot of focus on cure violence and crisis management system. We will turn the tide. So what I know, Michael, is for 6 years we drove down crime consistently while making profound reforms in the relationship between police and community. We're adding reforms, we're adding new approaches to policing, we're getting the court system back. We will turn the tide. I fundamentally believe it. Go ahead, Michael.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. The other question I have goes back to something Eric Adams touched on last week. It was an issue he'd raised earlier in the mayor's race, and which he brought up again on this proposal to do spot checks at the Port Authority. This is an idea basically aimed at reducing the flow of guns into the city. What he's proposing is that the police stop people coming off of buses into the city and checking their bags in the way that cops might do it at subways for explosives. And I'm wondering, given the fact that stop and frisk was such a big issue, still is, but when you were running in 2013, does this sound like a good idea to you? Is it something that could be potentially problematic? What do you think of that proposal from Adams?
Yeah, I want to look at that, Michael. It's specifically, as I understand the proposal, it's specifically aimed at shipments of guns coming up from the south. It's not, from what I'm understanding, aimed at anybody and everybody. It is specifically focused on shipments, people bringing guns into the city. That is a very particular focus. I want to look at that. I'll talk to NYPD about that and have more to say on it. But I just want to make sure it's clear that I do not think it's broad brush. I think it's for a particular goal.
We have time for 2 more questions today. The next question goes to Abu from Bangla Patrika.
Hello, Mayor. How are you?
Good, Abu. How you been?
Good, thank you. How was the weekend?
The weekend was not exactly what I had planned, nor was it for 8.5 million people, but we made the best of it.
Oh, good, thank you. Meryl, my question is, there is a um, Uber or TLC license has been stopped since long time, and there is a we got a complaint from different driver. There's the company who lease the car or their taxis. They increase the price, and city is not opening for new license or new number plate. So, is there any plan that New York City will open the TLC number plate registration again, and people can get benefit of it, the drivers?
Um, you know, Abu, I'll have our colleagues at the TLC follow up with you. I think the important point to recognize here is that with all the huge transformations that happened with the for-hire vehicle industry and then the horrible disruption of COVID, what we've been focused on is, of course, making sure that New Yorkers can get around, but also making sure that the people who do the work, the drivers, have the best possible chance for a decent living. We instituted a minimum wage for hire vehicle drivers. It's being now emulated around the country and around the world as a model for addressing income inequality and creating fairness. We've been really careful about the number of approved vehicles because we want to both avoid the race to the bottom that we saw some of the for-hire vehicles creating, where they were flooding the market and driving down the wages of their workers in the process. We also want to be really careful about congestion. So I think our approach has been a cautious one based on all the lessons we've learned, but I'll also have the TLC follow up with you on any plans they may be looking at going forward. Go ahead, Abu.
The second question is affordable housing. The people who are, it's the name of affordable housing. People cannot afford the minimum standard of their minimum wage because it's like $80,000 for one bedroom or so and so, so and so. Does it make sense that affordable housing, the name of affordable housing, you have to have a single bedroom apartment applying like $80,000 income. Uh, the people, how the people can apply, and how its name is affordable housing.
Okay. Huge question, very important question. I'll try and do the simple answer. But we have affordable units that we are building or have built and that we preserve in place for a wide range of income levels. We reach many, many New Yorkers at the lowest income levels. We also believe in reaching working class New Yorkers. If you've got a family where you have a public servant or a couple that are both public servants, a bus driver or a firefighter or a teacher or a custodian, we need those families here in New York City as well. And so we've created a lot more affordable housing. When our current plan is done, it will reach 700,000 New Yorkers with either new or preserved affordable housing. The lowest income New Yorkers and working class New Yorkers as well. We just got to keep doing more. With affordable housing, one thing is certain, more is more. I've been with New Yorkers when they got the keys to their apartment. I've been with veterans. I've been with folks who work for the city. I've been with folks who used to be homeless when they got the keys to their apartment and their life is changed forever. We just got to keep doing more of it. And our plan, I'm happy to say, is on pace, is on budget, is on target, and we're going to keep doing more.
Our last question of the day goes to NJ Burkett from WABC.
Good morning, Mayor, and to all of my colleagues on the call. Yeah, I want to preface this by saying that I think many people would credit you and your public health team for tackling COVID-19. I mean, I think we're all so fortunate to have the team you've assembled, but on a totally different topic. And I heard your answer to Mike's question. Last night, there were 13 people shot in 6 hours. One of them, a teenager, is dead. As you know, violent crime in the subway has been surging in recent weeks. You've urged New Yorkers to be patient, saying that the city was going to somehow grow itself out of this. And you said that a moment ago. But what do you say to people who believe that the crime genie is out of the bottle and you don't know how to stuff it back in?
I appreciate the question. I also appreciate your words about our healthcare team, who have really been heroic during this entire crisis. Look, I think I understand the fear. I really do. And there's a persistent concern, which I've heard now for decades in this city, of are we going to go back to the bad old days? And I really try my best to help people understand there are so many reasons why that is not going to happen. We went through a global pandemic, a massive disruption, unlike anything we've ever experienced, and yet see how quickly it's turning back. COVID rates plummeting, folks are getting vaccinated, the economy's coming back, the level of activity in the city is coming back. It will not be the same as last year, period. You will see the reality change. You will see the numbers go down, but much more importantly, the numbers are the human beings involved. We are going to reduce crime over time because we now have the tools. We needed a court system. You cannot fight crime without a court system and a functioning criminal justice system. You can't do it the way you can if you have one. It's finally back. You're going to see gang takedowns, and we know gangs and crews have been creating so much of this violence. You're going to see more of those soon. You're going to see the presence of the officers that we've graduated. All of these things are going to add up. I understand people's frustration. I understand their fear. But I'm telling you that we finally have the building blocks we need to make a difference. And it will happen. With so many things, it's about persistence. And every time an officer takes a gun off the street, every time a Cure Violence movement stops a retaliation, this is how we win. One by one by one. But we will turn it around. Go ahead.
Philosophically, sir, I wonder whether you haven't painted yourself into a rhetorical corner. You know, you don't want to necessarily acknowledge that the police are a big part of the answer because you're philosophically opposed to that. You know, and some have suggested that you're even downplaying the rate of violent crime in New York because it's optically inconvenient with the image of the city that you're trying to promote.
Well, I appreciate the question. I understand the first part. I just said multiple times today that we have added officers in our classes, which are part of the reason we're going to be able to make an impact. So I talk all the time, and I've been talking for months now, about the really powerful strategies, creative, effective strategies of the NYPD with precision policing, with the gun arrests, with using the new officers coming out of the academy, to put them in the right places to help turn the situation around. Look, again, a little history. For 6 years, we drove down crime pre-pandemic. We drove down crime year after year after year with a better approach to policing and a better approach to the relationship between police and community. Neighborhood policing did that. The same model will work as we come out of the pandemic. No question in my mind. I talk about our approach all the time. But I also think it's crucial, after everything that people have been through, to focus on where we're going. Because the whole reality of COVID, which brought so much pain to our families, which decimated our economy for a period of time, which unleashed these forces of violence, we are turning all that around. You can see with your own eyes the impact of the stimulus. You can see with your own eyes the economy coming back. Our schools, we opened them when others didn't dare, and now they're coming back full strength in September. And yes, we're fighting back crime as well. It's all connected. It's all connected. But I am not looking back to a crisis, a once-in-a-lifetime crisis beyond our control. I'm looking forward to a New York City we create together. I'm convinced we are going to turn this city around and have a recovery for all of us. I can feel it in my bones. That's where we're going. Thank you, everybody.